This channel is dedicated to helping you unlock your full potential, protect your energy, and embrace personal growth through the wisdom of great thinkers like Aristotle, Socrates, and other timeless philosophers. Here, we dive deep into how their teachings apply to modern life, offering practical strategies for overcoming challenges, cultivating a resilient mindset, and building the life you truly deserve. If you're ready to transform your mindset and take control of your life, then Beyond the Vision Mindset is the place for you. Whether you're seeking to master your emotions, strengthen your relationships, or build your inner resilience, we're here to guide you on that journey. Subscribe now and hit the bell to stay updated with empowering content that will help you rise above limitations and live with purpose. Let's walk this path of growth and wisdom together. 1. Do not objectify. To objectify a woman is to reduce her to mere physicality, to strip away her complexities, her mind, and her soul. In the Stoic view, human beings are much more than the sum of their parts. They are rational beings, endowed with reason, virtue, and a capacity for growth. When a man objectifies a woman, he fails to acknowledge her as a fellow human being on the same journey of life, seeking to fulfill her potential just as he seeks his own. The Stoics remind us that external appearances are fleeting, and true beauty lies in the character of an individual. Epictetus, one of the foremost Stoic philosophers, emphasized that what truly matters is not what is external but what is internal. To objectify is to neglect the fundamental Stoic teaching that the only things truly within our control are our actions, thoughts, and responses to the world around us. When we view others through the lens of superficial traits, we are denying them the opportunity to be seen for who they truly are. In relationships, whether personal or professional, objectification erodes trust and fosters a dynamic of inequality. It introduces an imbalance where one person is reduced to something that exists to fulfill the needs of another, rather than an equal partner in the shared pursuit of virtue. By rejecting the notion of objectification, a Stoic man seeks to view women, and all people, through the lens of mutual respect and understanding. He acknowledges the richness of their experiences, the depth of their intellect, and the complexity of their emotional landscape. To see a woman fully is to honor her humanity and embrace the idea that both men and women are on this journey of life together, sharing the same burdens and joys. 2. Do not engage in manipulation. Manipulation, by its very nature, is rooted in deceit and a desire for control. It is a distortion of one's true self, as it seeks to exploit the vulnerabilities of another for selfish gain. The Stoics held that our actions must always be governed by reason and virtue, rather than by the desire to manipulate, deceive, or control others. Manipulation often arises from a fear of vulnerability, the fear of not getting what one wants, or of being seen as weak or inadequate. However, the Stoic way is to embrace vulnerability as a part of life's natural flow, to trust in one's own integrity, and to reject manipulation as a means of attaining power over others. When a man resorts to manipulation, he is not only compromising the relationship but also compromising his own character. Manipulation feeds into the ego, fostering an internal dynamic of constant calculation, scheming, and deception. The Stoic knows that true power comes from self-control and ethical conduct. He understands that manipulating others undermines his own integrity and erodes the foundation of trust, which is essential to any relationship. A Stoic man strives for genuine connection based on mutual respect and honesty. Rather than seeking to bend others to his will, he seeks to align his actions with his values, creating a space where both he and the woman he engages with can express themselves authentically. In this way, manipulation is replaced by transparency, trust, and a commitment to the greater good of both parties. Stoicism teaches that to manipulate another is not a sign of strength, but of insecurity, the inability to stand firm in one's own virtue and truth. 3. Do not allow emotions to dictate your actions. The Stoics taught that emotions, while natural, should not govern one's actions. The idea is not to suppress or deny emotions, but to recognize them for what they are, transient, often irrational responses to external events. In a world where emotions are often seen as a primary motivator for behavior, Stoicism offers a different perspective. A man guided by Stoic principles does not react impulsively to his feelings, especially in the realm of relationships. Instead, he takes a step back, allowing reason to guide his responses rather than being enslaved by the intensity of his emotions. In relationships with women, emotions like jealousy, anger, or frustration can easily cloud judgment, leading to impulsive decisions that one might later regret. The Stoic approach is to acknowledge these emotions without allowing them to dictate actions. When faced with emotional turmoil, the Stoic man asks himself, "What is in my control here? What is the virtuous response?" By focusing on the internal response, cultivating patience, wisdom, and self-control, the Stoic man creates a space for thoughtful action rather than reaction. The discipline of managing one's emotions is essential to maintaining healthy relationships. Emotional volatility can undermine trust, create confusion, and foster unnecessary conflict. By practicing emotional self-regulation, a Stoic man ensures that his behavior aligns with his highest values and remains consistent even in challenging moments. This approach fosters deep respect, not only for the woman in his life, but also for his own capacity to stay true to his principles, regardless of external circumstances. 4. Do not disrespect boundaries. Respecting boundaries is not just a matter of etiquette or civility, it is a deep acknowledgement of the autonomy and dignity of the other person. The Stoic philosophers were keenly aware of the importance of understanding and respecting one's own limits. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflects on the necessity of self-awareness and the understanding of one's role in the greater scheme of things. This awareness extends beyond one's own boundaries to the boundaries of others, particularly in relationships. When a man disregards the boundaries of a woman, whether they are physical, emotional, or psychological, he is not only disrespecting her but also betraying the very principles of Stoicism. A woman's boundaries are a reflection of her personal autonomy, her right to determine her own path, and her capacity for self-governance. The Stoic man respects these boundaries as part of the fundamental respect he holds for all human beings. The violation of boundaries, whether intentional or not, leads to an erosion of trust and respect. It creates a dynamic where one person's needs and desires are prioritized over the well-being and autonomy of the other. This is antithetical to the Stoic ideal of harmony and mutual respect. A Stoic man, therefore, understands that boundaries are not to be tested, manipulated, or crossed, but honored with reverence. In doing so, he fosters a relationship built on equality, respect, and the shared pursuit of virtue. 5. Do not seek validation through her. The Stoic man understands that his worth is not determined by the approval or validation of others, including women. In a world that often encourages external validation as a measure of self-worth, Stoicism offers a counter-cultural perspective. According to Stoic teachings, true value comes from within, from one's alignment with virtue and the cultivation of wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. The need for validation is rooted in an externalized sense of self, an ego-driven desire to be affirmed by others. Seeking validation from a woman is not only a sign of insecurity but also a betrayal of the Stoic commitment to self-reliance. A man who seeks validation is essentially giving away his power to someone else, allowing his sense of self to be shaped by external forces rather than by his own internal compass. The Stoic response is to find fulfillment in the practice of virtue itself, to measure one's actions not by the approval of others but by their alignment with reason and the greater good. When a man seeks validation from a woman, he inadvertently places the woman in a position of power over his sense of worth, which creates an unhealthy dynamic. In contrast, a Stoic man seeks relationships where both individuals are equally grounded in their own sense of self-worth. He does not look to another person to complete him or to affirm his existence, but seeks to grow together with mutual respect, support, and understanding. 6. Do not display dishonesty. Dishonesty is a direct contradiction to the Stoic virtue of integrity. To lie, even in small ways, is to distort reality and undermine trust, a fundamental pillar of any relationship. The Stoics believed that the pursuit of virtue is inherently linked to truth. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reminds himself, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." To be dishonest in a relationship is to harm the very foundation on which it rests, trust and mutual respect. Dishonesty, even in the form of small lies or omissions, erodes the clarity of communication between partners. It creates a cloud of uncertainty, where true intentions are obscured, and vulnerability is met with suspicion. In contrast, a Stoic man understands that honesty requires courage, and it is through honesty that relationships are built on a bedrock of truth. To be truthful is not only a moral imperative but also a practical one. Truth fosters clarity, understanding, and a sense of security. In relationships with women, dishonesty can take many forms, from misleading words to withholding emotions or intentions. But the Stoic approach is one of radical transparency, where actions and words align with the highest ideals of truth. The Stoic man knows that by being honest, even when it is difficult, he cultivates the trust and respect necessary for a deep, enduring connection. 7. Do not allow society's expectations to define your role. The Stoic perspective on society's expectations is clear. We should not be slaves to external opinions or societal norms. Instead, we should live according to our own rational nature, guided by virtue and reason. Society often imposes rigid roles, dictating how men and women should behave, what they should aspire to, and how they should interact with each other. These expectations, however, are often shallow and disconnected from the deeper truths of human nature. A Stoic man does not conform to societal pressure for the sake of fitting in. He does not measure his worth by how well he plays the role society has assigned to him. Instead, he strives to understand his true nature and live authentically. In relationships with women, this means treating them as equals, rejecting the outdated norms that seek to define rigid gender roles. The Stoic approach is one of mutual respect, where both individuals are seen for who they truly are, not for the roles society demands they play. Society's expectations can be limiting, but the Stoic man seeks to transcend these limitations by cultivating an inner sense of purpose and autonomy. He lives not for the approval of others but for the fulfillment of his own virtuous nature. By rejecting societal pressures, he creates space for relationships that are based on genuine understanding, not external validation. 8. Do not engage in jealousy. Jealousy, in its essence, is a fear of loss, a feeling that arises when we perceive our control over a situation slipping away. The Stoics teach that we cannot control the actions of others, only our own reactions to them. Jealousy, therefore, is an unnecessary attachment to something outside our control. It is a source of emotional unrest, clouding our judgment and disrupting our inner peace. When a man feels jealousy in a relationship, it is a sign that he has allowed his sense of self-worth to be attached to the actions or affection of another. Instead, a Stoic man must recognize that his peace comes from within, not from the approval or behavior of others. To engage in jealousy is to give away one's internal stability, placing it in the hands of others. In relationships with women, jealousy can arise from a fear of losing her affection or attention. But the Stoic response is to remember that nothing external is within our full control. A woman, like all individuals, has the right to make her own choices. By accepting this reality, a Stoic man can free himself from the shackles of jealousy and maintain peace of mind, regardless of external circumstances. 9. Do not fail to offer support and encouragement. A Stoic man recognizes that every individual is on a journey of growth and self-discovery, and it is through mutual support that both partners can reach their highest potential. In relationships with women, this means offering encouragement, lifting her up in times of struggle, and celebrating her triumphs. The Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, and justice are not just personal pursuits. They are shared values that should extend to others, especially in intimate relationships. By offering genuine support and encouragement, a man demonstrates his commitment to the woman's growth, not just as a partner but as a person in her own right. The Stoic man understands that true partnership is not about competition but collaboration, not about holding each other back but pushing each other forward. Through this mutual support, both individuals are able to rise to their full potential, not in isolation but together. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Vision Mindset. If you found value in today's discussion, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Let us know your thoughts. How do you apply Stoic principles in your relationships? What are the challenges you face, and how are you overcoming them? Remember, your journey towards personal growth and a mindset of resilience begins with a single step. Join our community by subscribing and continue your transformation toward becoming the best version of yourself. Beyond the Vision Mindset is here to support you as you rise above the noise and live with intention. Keep pushing forward. Stay grounded in wisdom. And, as always, keep growing.